Hi. What a lot of synchronicity happened this week as to what happened in sessions. And I'm calling it this week, I don't have time for that. Or stillness within movement. There was so much that pointed to the void and what can come through the void and the timelessness. You know how when you do something you absolutely love and then you notice hours have gone by. That sense of we're most alive in that space that stands still in the movement. So a lot of what showed up this week were around questions of feeling lost and who am I and what's the next thing, and it's or I'm not feeling myself, that whole aspect. And the synchronicity of this is that during the week I was watching I think, not quite sure how to pronounce it, Itzhak Bentoff, and he calls himself Ben. And there was this video, which I will link, that his wife explains his theory after his passing. And it's so beautiful to see her share his information so clearly, step by step. And for those who have an hour and 3/4 or do it in stages, there are bits in that are so awesome. It's given me a vaster picture than I've ever had before. It's so brilliant. And it's all, interestingly, to do with that space of finding the timelessness in time and how the best comes to us when we're able to be in that space. Because some of the stucknesses that were shown up were mind, which is why through meditation, this stillness and this seeing a different perspective comes about. And also that sense that every thought we have is like a pebble that is dropped into a pond and interacts with all. And if we really have a sense of what that is, we again get that there is no such thing as small, not even a small thought. So what opened the sessions was a sense of self and being clear what I have time for, what I don't have time for. That there is so much clarity in you know how sometimes you go, I haven't got time for that. And it's because this sense of your own time and the stillness of your own time does not want to be disturbed. It knows the value. I have a saying myself where if things go in a certain direction, I actually say, I can't afford this. I actually can't afford this. Because it's on a vibrational level. And that's for me. Maybe if I was more evolved, I wouldn't even need to do that. But that's where I'm at. I don't have time for that. So it started off really beautifully with someone who came. They were literally, the vortex was spinning around and causing quite a lot of trouble. And interestingly enough, she actually found a product that was on Shark Tank that stabilizes this feeling by just rolling this essence down the side of her ears, and it literally assisted her instantly, which was pretty good because she was driving. pretty awesome. So what's behind all of this is really what beings come to me for. And what we found, and it's not the first time I've seen this being, what we have found in the past is that there were lifetimes when she was in charge of a vast amount of people, and she had absolute care for these beings. And she was a female at that time, like in charge of a large plantation. But, there were plantation holders that really cared enormously for those who were there, and they felt cared for. But she felt this immense still hostility for the plantation holders who did not behave in kind, caring ways. And that hostility was still very much in her energetic field, which continuously drives her to continuously do better, do better, do better, do better, do better for all those around her, to the point you can spin out to others and lose oneself. And to dissipate that energy, which the spirit was actually more than ready to let go of. But it's something the mind can't do. It's not a mental thing. And the peace that comes from those situations. So it's again with that hostility out the road, more of that timelessness and able to be present arrived. Another that I saw, and again, it was mind doing its thing, trying to work out something it can not do, because the real quality was so beautiful, because the real quality was an empty space. It was an empty space. It's the first thing that showed up was this empty space. And what the mind was doing was trying to mind this empty space. But no matter what it did, it could not come to the emptiness. So we explored what that emptiness was about. And it was, to use an analogy, it was like the top of a bottle, and it just wanted the cap flipped off so itself could come through, because that's what this was about. The joy of knowing how she could express herself and how that could come into being in collaboration with others, which was the excitement. And feeling into that, the real what this was about showed up. And it's something the mind cannot do. It is a beingness in flow, in collaboration, and expressing oneself. And then to be able to express that with others, then the real information comes through. And even in that collaboration, there will be times when it's very clear we don't have time for that. We're moving here in bringing through what it is we want to bring through. And there was a being who came, who, being pregnant, we started doing the session, and it was amazing, because the energy of the being yet to come and join us all started off with saying, well, this is what I want. And I went, wow, this is some energy here. And it was divine, because the energy was, there is nothing to forgive. It had this awareness of there's nothing to forgive. And in previous sessions, actually, it showed up that this being was very clear that it really wanted a mother who knew how to be so clear that others cannot hurt her, and that being passed on to the child. The child then would have issues came up with others, with peers or whatever. It'd be like water off a duck's back, because in you having that capacity, I'll have that capacity, and then we can both be in this world, not being interfered with. So this time, there is nothing to forgive. And then it was, I am more interested in collaboration and moving forward than being hooked in the past. Wouldn't it be wonderful if this energy is something that being here, because my God, it's easy to feel it on the other side before we come. And then we need to achieve exactly what that is and bring it into the world. And what often happens is people get literally pissed off that the world isn't like that already, instead of realizing you're here, therefore it is in the world, and it's yours to bring through. So I'm just going to glibly mention the others, because I know time is of the essence in this timelessness. One came, and you know, there's lots of sharings now about lucid dreaming, and lucid dreaming, going into sleep, then waking up in the sleep in lucid dreaming. But what is showing up, and I'm so excited about this, that being here and through the timelessness, moving into that now, to find that the lucidness is here and actually get it while it's happening, which is a lucid here. So we enter more into that timelessness in a linear process of now. And then another, having gone through incredible years of holding something together, bringing it into functionality, and discovering much of herself in that process, as we do, it was like, now that that's not around, I kind of feel a bit lost. What is the next thing? What is the next thing? And because she's not a glib person in any shape or form, it actually showed up to take on another aspect and bring mastery to it. Her desire was mastery. So when that happens, we're not looking for a hobby to pass the time. And it can take time sometimes to find it, but in this case, there were already many elements that led the way to what could deepen and the joy of it and bringing mastery to it. And when we do that, we do fall into timelessness. Those of you who do sessions with other people, you'll find that while you're in session, it's like, wow, that felt like 5 minutes. It's like time stands still. And that followed actually with others that came, and this theme of being aware of the now, and the creation of some elements are timeless. Even our thoughts are timeless. They reverberate. So I will link the video below for those who love going into the depth of this process, which it to the end shares it to the the sound of all, the Om, that permeates it all. It's such a beautiful sharing. It was done in 1978. So, just beautiful. So, the cards that were pulled, and there was an Australian bush essence as well, so I'll share those with you. The first card was risk. Risk being yourself. And that does mean claiming, I don't have time for this. Risk being yourself. Risk having fun. Risk loving and risk living. Life is full of risks. Nothing is guaranteed. Risks are easy when you trust yourself and flow. I mean, that's the cornerstone. But do not take physical risks at this time. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Give a new idea a go. Take a chance on something new. Change your routine. Be different. And I would say, instead of different, be more. Bring out more. The second card was treasure. It's like when we risk, treasures can arrive. And the treasure can come in that timelessness. Treasures arrive. Your life has purpose and meaning that you can value and treasure. It is time to acknowledge your dreams, listen to your heart and discover what you really want. Be prepared to do what it takes to follow your heart, and you will find your treasure. And I would say it's in the silence that comes. And it can be surprising what comes up. I can remember there was a time when it was time for this sense of more. After 10 years of doing kinesiology, there was this feeling of there's something else. And it actually took me 3 years to find. And it was growing vegetables. And the growing of the vegetables, very much that biodynamic, and going through that whole biodynamic Steiner understanding that deepened my whole sense of what metabolism is. Because metabolism isn't just the breaking down, and that's emotionally, physically, spiritually, nutritionally, you name it, it's all metabolism. But once it's broken down, it comes down to, and can you utilize it? Is there utilization in it? You know, very much of this video that I will share, it towards the end, it really goes into, you know, we reflect ourselves, and we are the answer to the questions that we propose. And the more questions and the more timelessness and centering, the more answers and the growing of the questions and the answers that we are. Hibersha was the flower that came up, the essence. And I'll just read the negative and positive conditions. The negative conditions are fanatical about self-improvement, this mind, driven to acquire knowledge, excessive self-discipline, superiority, and hypervigilance. It's a lot gentler than that. Content with own knowledge, acceptance, ownership, and utilization of your own knowledge. What a wonderful week. And for those of you who have got time to listen to the video, enjoy. Lots of love.